what about? And all the might it could have been. No. Here we go. Oh, come on. Are there any tags that are not in use? Of course it is. Lex. Yeah. I'm feeling a bit off balance tonight, bro. What's with the did you change your Twitch name? I'm trying to think of a I'm trying to create some guild for myself, not guild, outfit for myself so I can accumulate outfit perks for playing the game. But I can't put a tag on it. You have multiple, okay? I wonder if I'm not following Lex PS2. Let me check. Oh, I totally was not. All right, that's fixed. Rarely stream on it. Word. How's your night going, Lex? Bounced off some cheaters in Siege, and now you're here. Well, welcome to the party. Yeah, I've had too busy and too stressful of a week. I'm just stretched, man. I just ate a bunch of junk food. I feel terrible about it. And I'm going to burn off playing some Planet Side, which I'm sure is going to work. My doctor told me playing Planet Side would help me burn calories, so that's what I'm here to do. 4 hours and 11 minutes and change is what it ended up being. Probably about 30 minutes longer than I should have kept it going. But it's an evolving art. I'm not feeling this song. There we go. I tuned in just long enough to see that, yes, they did crest 5K, which is pretty amazing. It seemed like yesterday was a much bigger day than today, but they got there. Shocked bringing it, man. All right. I can worry about a tag later. Are tags just server specific, or are they across the whole game? Across the game. Hey, Cece. Cece, are you the Cece who was competing on Speedrunners the other day against Tarek? That was a fun match to watch. You guys put on a show. I really enjoyed that. I'll deal with this later. I'll play some games. You mega through. Is it hard to stay that focused for that long? Like 3 rounds to 100 frags? It seems like it must take a Herculean amount of focus to stay that tuned in that long. Or maybe I'm overestimating how seriously people take it. Fights have to play out. Yeah. The third game, you couldn't keep your eyes open. Yeah, I was wondering that. Like, adrenal crash is a thing. Maybe if Shakhtar keeps it going long enough, people will get used to it. You know, I don't know. Either way, it's a very cool thing. I'm so feeling the Reznor tonight. Maybe I should put on the Quake soundtrack after this. Let's throw up a squad. Wait. Friends. Outfit. Fine. Haven't listened to any Nail since 2011. You know, I was talking to my wife about this the other day. I realized that when I was in my 20s, especially my early 20s, the amount of time that I spent, like, just discovering new music was a much higher proportion of my life than it is today. Like, all the music that I used to love, it feels like it's enough to last me now. I can keep rediscovering shit I already like for the rest of my life. I've become a boomer. Oh! You didn't get into listening to music until high school. I didn't either, actually. I don't think it's that uncommon, to be honest. Where should I go? I think that that Shockter needs to do some like comedic speed runs of people who are not very good, like myself, to see how long it takes us, you know? I think me and Archie should totally go head to head on that. You talk about an orange bracket for real. I would love to see that. I would so enjoy doing something like that. I can't compete with you heavyweights. I never will. But it's a cool format. Okay, is it just Hassan? It's just Hassan. Going to Nasons. Is the Rel and Sirius thing gonna happen? I know Rel said he would. Some guys just not wired to play like that. Yeah. That's pretty cool. That's a hype thing. I'll be excited to watch that. I think people are going to enjoy watching Rel play the game. If he does well at all, I think he's going to really blow people away. But we'll see. I don't know. Are people around? He's got to reinstall the game first. That would help. All right. I got to get warmed up. Let's go. My aim feels weird because I spent like 2 hours today doing observer cam recording, which requires very weird mouse movement compared to actually shooting things. Okay. Oh, I have to rebind my mouse wheel. But yeah, I think a big part of the reason I need to put on some nails is because I just feel... I was reading the Moocast cancellation thread on Reddit, and it's just like... It's so full of misplaced aggression. Made me think of nails. Seems like a good way to channel that feeling. All right. He's been hanging around your stuff a lot more recently. Moocast has been? Yeah, he's been around. I was surprised to see him quote something that I said in my content a few weeks ago, too. Word. What I want to do is find minimap. Nope, I got it backwards. There we go. You don't get into all the other stuff with him? You know, he's actually the first person from the PlanetSide community that I interviewed. Fun fact. It was about a year ago now. It was before I was doing stuff with a camera. And I was astonished that we spent the first 20 minutes of the conversation talking about UFOs. I can't even see that guy. I mean, Mukesh just seems like a pretty chill person in general. My observation matches yours, Lex. I mean, and he may have some out there ideas. But man, like, people in your chat get on him. Yeah. The thought that I have rattling around in my head is like, thank God that all these anonymous Reddit commenters don't have their bad takes examined like Mukaz is having his examined, you know? And like you watch that thread, you see people like use it as an excuse to clown on him for the way he plays the game and like his like light assault montages and shit. And it's like peak cancel culture. It's like, oh, someone's wrong. Let me say all the bad things I've ever felt about this person, regardless of how correct they are, because it's right to hate him, and I want to be part of the right team. And even if there is something worthwhile to examine about his behavior, even if there is, you can't get to it because it's so muddied down with shit. Okay. One of these days I'm going to shoot something in the head. I got to watch some speedrunners to get inspired to aim. Most of them would never even bother putting themselves out there. Yeah. I was watching a Devin Nash take on cancel culture. All right, make a light assault, Greg. In other words, get shot in the back by a heavy assault. Yes. And what he was saying was that the proper response to seeing something out in the world, doing something you don't like, isn't to try to enact justice on them from a distance via social media. It's to get out there in the world and make it the way you think it should be. Go make something yourself. Go build something. Go do something. I don't know if I strictly agree with him, but I think there's a lot of utility in that principle. Everyone at this base is a better player than I am. See if I can prove myself wrong. The mouse feels so weird. We almost killed something there. Did you guys see someone? It's probably right, but that's just not going to be what people do. It's much easier to just not do that. Yeah, it's an interesting thing that when people post a comment like that, they think they're doing something. They think they're tipping the scales. But the truth is, like, I think that the value of your comment weighs as heavily as like what you've done to actually contribute to the community yourself. Like, if you haven't done anything, then what's your opinion worth? I actually struggle with that myself because compared to a lot of the heavyweights of PlanetSide content creation, I'm a very fresh face. And people should treat what I say with suspicion because I've just not been around that long. Okay, boomer. Ooh, trigger alert. Being offended is not a take. Yeah. People that don't like you stream snipe, dox in your chat, report the channel. Yeah. Yeah, a feeling is not an opinion or an idea. A feeling is just chemicals in your brain. Anyway, I try to be sympathetic to people who do that because I think a lot of people who do that are expressing themselves in the way that they know how. And I know that not everyone can actually take the time to like make a YouTube channel or do something to really contribute, but they still might have valid points to make. The thing is, I think Reddit ends up being this aggregator of people who have no other way to express their opinion a lot of the time. And there are notable exceptions, of course. Like, I actually look at the thread and I treat people whose names I recognize, like Serious weighed in too, with a lot more gravity because he's put himself out there in the past. He has a reputation. I know what he thinks about some of their topics, so I can assess. I don't think his take was really good, to be honest. I think it was a bit, oh, I don't know how to describe it exactly, but I didn't think it was very good. Address the argument. Yeah, I'm actually going to see if I can get in touch with some of the people from who left Mukas's outfit. Because I've done some reading on that topic, and I think that there might be some people who perhaps rightfully feel like they were let down by Mukas, but they weren't people who watched his videos about free energy devices. They're people who were part of his outfit and joined him because they liked his PlanetSide videos. And then I think he might not have done a great job shepherding that outfit. And a bunch of people left in discontent. I think that is the only real harm I've seen done by him. Posting light assault montages, talking about free energy devices, that is not doing harm. Even saying stuff like 9/11 was an inside job is not actually harmful. Even if it is wrong. Like, harmful speech, man. You should be reluctant to call speech harmful. Because that is a really dark path. Hence the 9 Inch Nails. Hence I'm listening to the instrumental version. I've censored Reznor. Your issue with it is who gets to decide what that is. What is? The guy get run over by his own. That's beautiful. So new conglomerate. Oh, I really wanted to kill that guy. It wasn't a bad rank up kill. Who gets to decide what is? Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, Invoking hateful speech says less about what happened and more about who is in power. Usually. Like if you have someone who's, more in keeping with, let's say, liberal ideologies, then hateful speech is going to be stuff like about immigration and stuff about dog whistle racism. And if you flip it around and you have someone deciding has a more traditionally conservative, oh, that's too many red people, then all of a sudden it's about trans rights stuff. I think it is possible for speech to be considered hateful or insightful speech. But that's like you should have to walk an idea very far down the road before you arrive there. Being wrong and being hateful are not the same things. Wow, these NC are just farming it up, bro. Holy shit. My settings look suspiciously ultra-ish. Did I put my potato config back on? I might have to double check. I use the recursion overlay for the crosshair only. But the way my stream capture is set up, you don't see it. If that answers your question, Rex. I don't have the stats turned on because I find them to be distracting or distressing. Either one of the two. Yeah. Yeah, I have a small cyan-colored cross as my crosshair. Just nebulous virtue signaling. Set quite the precedent for that in this country. Yeah. So there's a whole clusterfuck going on in the basement here. Yeah, I'm not gonna jump into that. Not going down that rabbit hole. Where's the door? Am I confused? Oh, it's underneath this rock.
We've successfully defended the facility.
Whoa. Whoa. I got surprised and flashed myself. Get him! Ah. Yeah, I just feel let down by the whole thing. And add this on top of the whole like controversy this week, the whole non-controversy about Rel's community manager gag on Twitter. Like I just feel so I'm trying not to generalize the people who took those in poor humor with the whole community. Sometimes it's hard not to, though. You think it's fair? Okay. Apparently I can't shoot. That is a max. Look at the Colossus fly. Hell yeah, brother. Come get some. That was a dumb push. I don't recognize the song. Get out of here. Sometimes a lot more recently, you feel like just walking away completely from the game and all the conversation. I don't blame you, dude. You know, when you've been having the same conversations for years, I don't know. I think a big part of the reason that I can enjoy the game now is because I take such long breaks. And because I've never played at such a high level. I don't know. And I also know I'm not going to be playing forever. I'm just going to be playing while I enjoy it, and then I'm going to be done, at least for a little while. But anyway, you were saying you feel like walking away. Is it more the game or more the conversation to you? Or is it the combination of both? Well, there's someone I can shoot. Exciting. Both. There's something uniquely terrible about a community for a game that doesn't get the success it aims for, turning inward on itself. There's something uniquely tragic about it. For some reason, I'm attracted to those communities. Guild Wars is a little bit like that, too. I feel like you said all you want to say. Well, Lex, we should have some new conversations, man. Come to the point where you feel like the community deserves the game it has. Yeah. There's a thick statement right there. Assist? Mercenary. A weird spelling. I think he's a male nurse. What the hell is this? I like these next two songs. People asking you to do stuff, still asking you to be on podcasts or interviews. Just shut all that down last year. You don't know what the point of having the conversation is anymore for you. Yeah. That's a conversation in itself. I mean, like, where does that feeling come from? And what do you do about it? I think if you feel that way, it's probably healthy to step away. And just know that it doesn't mean you're done. It just means you're done for now, maybe. I've burned myself out on a lot of games and felt let down by them. Personally. I felt let down by PlanetSide, too. Felt let down by the communities I've joined. By the people I put my trust in. Don't shoot me. Thank you for not shooting me. You don't know what the point of having the conversation is anymore. Oh, I already read that. Okay. Wow, that guy's stealth shield was really good. Those NS Maxes confuse me. I don't get what they do. The guy took so many hits. Fire Mage. What's with the gimped walking speed, though? That seems weird to me. I guess it's because it uses the base NS model, and they need to find a reason for it to move at max speed. So they give it a limp. Perfect analogy of the game. 1 year since subscribing and the world falling apart. Happy 1 year anniversary, Repairman. My friend. Repair, how the hell are you, dude? I miss you, dude. We need to find something to play together. Like some Deep Rock or something. Dude, I totally miss you. I really fucking miss you. I'm all alone. What is shooting me? Well, at least I'm better than 1 KD. Something. Look at these moves. The Soggy Cow. That was a good kill I got on him. You got pretty salty in Beer League tonight? Oh, tell me about it. I would love to hear about it. If you want to join the Colin channel in my Discord, I'll pull you in. You can tell me about it on voice. I kind of miss TFC drama. Speaking of moving on from games. Hey.
Hey.
I hear you. Tell me about this drama.
So they weren't sure if they were going to have 8, and they asked about a couple of ringers beforehand.
Who was the
And
team?
I was like, always. It was
Okay.
always.
All right.
And I was like, yeah, sure, fine, whatever. Because tonight was Pipe Zone, and that was like the one that everyone wanted to play.
Yeah.
And so we said, yeah, sure, like have some ringers. And we get in. We're winning pretty solidly. We're not like totally running away with it. We're winning pretty solidly about 5 minutes into the match, and then they just completely throw at that point for the rest of it. Not even trying, like not even running flags, just dicking around, running pyros, building like 2 guns on their home point, just a bunch of stupid shit. And got to the end of the game, and they started just like, goofing off in MM1. And I told him next time to just forfeit. Like, I could play a pub, same stuff that we've talked about before. And, yeah, they were doing the pleasantries and stuff like that. Good game and everything. And I said, no, bad game.
Nice, bro.
Yeah, no mood to deal with that tonight.
Hmm.
The one that we were waiting for the most.
And you went up against a team who just didn't
Yeah.
take it seriously enough to even have a real game.
Yep.
That sucks.
That's the way it goes, though.
Yeah. Did the other people in foul play feel like you did?
A few of them did. Yeah, Angel wasn't particularly happy. Fish made a comment too about it. I think Doug kind of played it off a little bit as well. I know Lat was also disappointed because he was, Lat shows up to play.
Yeah, he's a gamer.
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of people were kind of like-minded, but it was just unfortunate. We had heard earlier in the week that they weren't sure about, who might be able to show up. And I was kind of hoping that they would end up by forfeiting, because then we were gonna line up an exhibition match with Hello, because we know that they would actually play it.
Yeah,
Somewhat
yeah.
serious. And yeah, I would have rather have done that.
Yeah, it's interesting. In the Planetside community right now, there's controversies about this new competitive format called Outfit Wars, and one interesting thing is going down on it is that people are not taking the game seriously and creating bad and unfun games for others. Kind of similar.
Yeah.
How do you get people on the same page about what the experience should be?
Yeah, and I don't know. It's just not fun to play. Like, if you're playing in a competitive format, I think you owe it to the other team to try. Even if you're losing, even if you're getting absolutely stomped, you owe it to them to try.
Yeah, to compete.
Yeah. I mean, it's a respect thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, a lot of people just don't feel that way. They, if they know that they're not going to win, they just want to play like a bunch of shitters.
It's kind of a childish attitude.
It really is. Yeah.
Like, what's the phrase? It's not whether you win, it's how you play the game. Is that whole idea? Like,
Yeah.
if you don't accept like the threat of the loss, like as something you don't want, and if you're just there, if you just pick your own objectives, like kind of like the way Lat's team did in season 1. Remember?
Yeah.
You kind of, I don't know. I think you end up not just playing the team you're playing against, but you end up kind of playing yourself in many ways. The league in general. And of course, I'm sure that the beer league just apologizes for it all and says, "Well, it didn't break any rules, right?"
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, no one's really said anything.
Yeah, it's not going to go any further than you bitching about it to me, I'm sure.
Yeah, probably not. I'm curious about whether or not I get a PM at some point or another about, the MM1 and kind of being a jerk after the game in the one channel, but what are they going to do?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like, you're not going to punish people for, completely degrading the game. Why the hell would you have anything to say to me about expressing not being very happy with it?
Yeah.
But this is definitely going to be the last season.
Of the beer league in general?
Yeah, I think so. Pretty much, most of the people on our team especially have said that this is the end for them. They really have no interest in playing beyond this, especially with the way that it's been going.
How's it been going other than tonight?
The format that we've been playing, like with the tournament, I don't know. It's just been kind of the same stuff. The games haven't been particularly even competitive.
Mhm.
That's kind of gone back to like the first season, where like every week is kind of a blowout. It seems like
Mhm.
we had a really close game against Hello, week 2. We had a good game against TNS the first week, because we played them on ADL. And then other than that, it's been not particularly competitive. There's been games here and there, but
Yep. And all of it 8v8, right?
Yeah, 8v8. Yeah, we were talking about this a little bit earlier, and I know a lot of people weren't a fan of the format, but the combined teams
Yeah.
season, I think, is probably the most fun that I had in the game.
Yep. I think it was the best version of the beer league. I totally agree
Yeah.
with you. And I thought it was dumb at the start, and I was wrong. It was actually secretly brilliant.
Yeah, it led to more competitive games. It led to, getting to play with different people. Wasn't necessarily people you wanted to play with, but
Well, that's half the fun.
kind of, yeah, you kind of roll the dice a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, for everyone else who can hear this and doesn't know what the hell we're talking about, a team-based 1v1 competitive game.
Kano is with you.
But there aren't that many people in the community to make competitive matches. So what do? You split the team size in half and make double the teams, and every single week you do doubles basically. And that way, skilled players who want to play with skilled players can still do that, but the power of those stacks are constrained by the fact that they have to be with another random other team. It was pretty good, although I think that the way that it was set up in season 1, like, it was all very like hand-picked matchups so that they ended up being even, rather than like being truly random or something. So I think that
Which, at the end of the day, I mean, I think is fine. At the end
yeah,
of the
there are
day,
so
like,
few teams. Like, is that really that hard to manage?
yeah. I would rather, lose a close game, I think, than play a game where you're going to win by like 30 caps or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
Yeah, losing a close game can be some of the best memories, man.
Uh-huh.
Lex says I'd proposed a farmers all draft team league at one point to kind of deal with the parity problem. Yeah, so PlanetSide also had a small format 6v6 inventory, so similar to TFC, that the league that the community organized, again similar to TFC, and it had its own drama. I'm not a big fan of drafts in general, though. Like, and I think Repair, you and I have talked about this because
Yeah.
you don't end up playing with your friends, which is kind of your friends winning and losing with your friends, and the shared identity of that is, for a lot of people, like me especially, like, a big part of the fun.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And if you just are playing for enjoying the mechanical aspect of the game, like, I don't know, TFC is lucky enough to have a pickup scene that works no matter whether or not there's a league. So I think a lot of people probably would feel like the end of the league is not that tragic because there's still the pickup scene. Pickup scene just bores
Yeah.
me to tears.
No, I agree. It's not my cup of tea, but as far as like the overall health of the game goes, I get it. I think, if that's the long-term outcome, because I think everybody knew that TFC wasn't going to, like, have a resurgence that lasted forever. But if the brief resurgence it did get, it rejuvenates pickup scenes for the next like year or so, get some people more interested in that.
Yeah, there are
That's
follow-on
not such a
effects.
terrible thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Won't be for me, but good for the game itself.
Yeah. Lex says it becomes a problem though when nobody wants to play anymore because your team wins everything, then you have no league. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this league dealt with that in the first season where you had one team who was just like at least twice as good as the next best team, I think.
Yeah, parity was definitely an issue.
It'd be interesting to see like a salary cap like approach to some of these kinds of problems, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that would make it more fun though, because good players, just their friends are usually good players too, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's just It's a tough problem to solve anyway. It sucks that it always screwed you out of Pipe Zone, man.
It's all right. Get over it. I also heard that they had asked Wheaties to ring for them prior to the game, when I don't think anyone that was really playing in the game for Always is even really friends with Wheaties, because like Heat wasn't around and Nick wasn't around.
Mm-hmm.
So they just kind of arbitrarily went to
The best player in the league.
literally the best player to see if he could ring for them.
Maybe it would have given you a good match if they'd been successful.
Maybe, but then it was also an issue of too, like, okay, if they're gonna bring in ringers and they have multiple ringers, and then they bring them like, yeah, we're gonna bring in like Wheaties and Neon, for example.
Right.
Like, okay, you're gonna bring in two extremely good players, and then if you win, you're gonna move on, even though you're gonna be carried by people that aren't even on your team. So
Right.
yeah, it was, and that's been something too that I think they've done. Something I think that could have been done a little bit better is when people do need ringers, it would have been nice for the league to kind of dictate who is actually going to be the one ringing, so you don't end up with situations like that.
Oh,
I know
interesting.
the few occasions where our team needed a ringer, and we sought one out, we always made a point to not try and get someone that was like, playing for stack or wasn't, an absolutely incredible player.
A
We tried
monster.
to keep it like
Yeah.
equitable. Yeah. Try to, have someone
it
that's
fair.
serviceable, but it's gonna carry a game. Yeah, because you want to be fair about it. But yeah, I've tuned into a couple of your streams, the ones that you do on Monday night, and I feel
yeah?
like I've heard a little bit of yeah, I pop in here and there. I do my mod duties for a little bit. I'm not always active in the chat, but I'll hang
Nice.
out. I usually have it open.
And
Haven't had to ban anybody.
Yeah,
But
it's
yeah,
pretty.
I feel like I've heard you talk a little bit about the outfit wars stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like that's been a topic of conversation I've heard a lot about, even if I don't understand all the specifics of it.
Yeah, it's been a hot one the last few weeks. Cooling down finally, but the thing that makes it really interesting is it's a competitive format with a tournament bracket, but the competition itself is 3-sided.
Yeah.
So you have 3 teams enter the battlefield. One gets first, one gets second, one gets third, which creates all these weird politics and king-making dynamics.
Yeah.
And people just really have had a strong negative reaction to when that happens.
Rise to the moment you can prevail.
So I think one of the things I had watched was there was like an accusation that like one of the teams was unfairly kind of targeting one team and not so much the other.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't really know how you handle that in a 3-sided game. Like that seems inherently difficult to
Mhm.
first of all tell if it's happening like deliberately or if it's like more of an organic thing based on, just the context of the game itself.
Yep. Yeah, you're totally right. So like that's the thing with the community is when is it collusion and when is it just playing smart?
Yeah.
There was actually an instance early in the season where you had one team who came out and said, "Yep, we colluded," and they went so far as to like let one team capture their points, and they went and reinforced one team and didn't shoot them. Like they literally didn't fight against one faction at all.
Yep.
And then after the match, they said, "Yep, we colluded. Fuck the team that we colluded against. We hate those assholes. They deserve to lose. They all cheat." And it was just like such a moment, man.
Oh yeah. Appreciate the honesty.
Yeah. Okay, this C4 is not working. I'll find another tactic. But the interesting thing is, you had the lead developer of the game come in and say, "Hey guys, there is a code of conduct, and if you're not playing to win, you're not within the code of conduct. Also, don't ring because ringing is bad. Because the format's so big, it needs 150 players for one match. 3 sides, 50
Yep.
players each, and this is not a big community. Like it has like a few thousand.
Yeah.
like daily active players. What is going on here? So ringers happen, and there are 3 teams that got disqualified with no explanation why, and 2 of them were on the Soltech server, which has a mismatch of Aussie and Japanese and Chinese and Korean outfits. So there's a language barrier there. I don't know. It's anyway. My examination of the whole thing culminated last week with me saying, "Why does PlanetSide have 3-way battles? Why does it have 3 factions? What's the point of the 3-way conflict?"
Yeah.
Because I think that if you can answer that question, you can have an argument that makes sense one way or the other. Because the argument that seems to be the loudest is the one that says 1v1 is the only way to be competitive. That's it. If it's not 1v1, it's not competitive, which I think is fair. But then the question is,
I think it's fair too.
like, should it be competitive? Like, is it being a rigorous competition the most important thing? And I did a bunch of I did a bunch of research on setups like this on games that have kind of free-for-all setups that involve politics, and these games are usually set up in a way to actually make it interesting to not be the winner, like alternate win conditions, or there are all kinds of different ways to deal with it. But PlanetSide seems to be, in a lot of ways, really rejecting its identity as a game that has politics, and so when it happens, no one knows how to deal with it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I could certainly see how the cleanest way to deal with it would be, one-on-one in a competitive format. I know it's not, a one-for-one comparison, but thinking of a game like StarCraft, right, where you have 3 kind of very distinct factions, but in a competitive scene, it's one-on-one because, you end up by one-on-one, and then all of a sudden the game gets really, really messy. Like, you may have pub online games that are like that, but in the truest, like, upper echelon games, it's always going to be one-on-one.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably why they would argue that, is it's the most fair way to deal with that problem.
Right. And so then the question becomes, like, what is the defense for keeping... Because a lot of... this is a game that's always struggled with resourcing problems. It's always had trouble putting up big new features. And this was, like, a big new feature. It got a ton of attention. And it's this weird 3-way competition. And what do you do with it? Like, if you put it back in the oven to make it 1v1, we might not see it for a year, 2 years max. Yeah. Like, who knows? Or it might just get shit canned altogether and we'll never see it again.
Yeah, because what's the lifespan of the game at this point?
I mean, it is unique. It has an audience. Oh, that's Tarek. Let's kill Tarek. Someone else got him. So my thing is like, well, okay, we have this 3-way competition. Let's explore what's good about it before we shit can it altogether. Before we eviscerate it and say, nope, it has to be 1v1.
Yeah.
And I think that conversation hasn't been had, and I tried to have it, and I don't know, I just don't have the reach to really have my opinion about it matter in the community very much. Also, my content is just alienating because you have to listen to 3 hours of me talking to get through it. But that apparently is my gift and my curse. Because, one of the things I like about PlanetSide is the fact that it's 3-sided. It makes it less competitive. It makes the outcomes less like winner-loser. The win conditions are more vague. Actually, playing PlanetSide feels a lot more like playing an old-school TFC pub to me. It's just there's 1,000 people here instead of 20 people.
Yeah.
And you see the same faces all the time because there's no matchmaking. You just join the server and you're on the continent with everyone else who joined it. And it's got a really different, cool feeling to it because of that. And I would hate to have the game boiled down to be something that is just, rigorously competitive and lose that kind of more world-like feeling. Because when something is kind of has some sharp corners and some sharp edges, and like you have to make your own kind of motivation to play. I don't know. There's something about that that feels more like world-like to me.
Yeah.
More like there's room to do more than just be good at the game. And I think a big reason I don't play a lot of modern shooters is because so many of them are just boiled down to these sweaty competitions, and the only way it's considered valid to play these games is to be exceptionally good. And there's no room for casual PvP shooters anymore. And that's a lot of that is what I get out of the game, and I would just be horrified to lose that aspect of it. But Outfit Wars is just a competition. It's not the rest of the game. And I do think there
Yeah, and
should
that
be
was gonna
room
be
for a competitive expression of some kind. Should it be Outfit Wars or should it be something else?
yeah, and that was gonna be my question too. Is the to my understanding, knowing virtually nothing about the game, like Outfit Wars is something that runs kind of parallel to a lot of this stuff. It's not something
Yeah.
that replaces the standard game. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the better arguments for being like it doesn't need to be three-sided. But yeah. Anyway, gaming.
Gaming.
You play anything else these days other than Apex and TFC?
I haven't really. Well, I picked back up Disco Elysium because they
Oh,
just had
right.
a big update for that.
Watching
And
you playing that
I'm
is making me want to pick that up.
one thing I will say about the update, and I don't think that this is necessarily like a negative or a positive really, is that first of all, I think the voice acting that they added to the game is really well done. They did a very nice job with it. Um, but there's so much text and there's so much voice now that you have to actually like play the game slower, right? Unless
Huh.
you're gonna totally ignore most of the voice acting, because you can read much faster than you can listen to some guy rattle off, some weird text.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm finding that it's actually like making me think about things in a little bit more of a deliberate way,
Huh.
like taking that time to digest the information as it's kind of like spoken to you, as opposed to just like reading it and scanning it really really quickly. So um but yeah, they've done a really incredible job with it. I know the game is not going to be everybody's cup of tea by any stretch of the imagination, um but for what it is, it's a really um incredible game, incredible achievement. They've done so many really unique and cool things with that game. And for it to be like a really tiny studio in, like, I can't even remember where they're from. They're from like some Eastern European country,
Hmm.
and it's their first game that they've ever made.
Yeah, it's an impressive first outing.
Oh yeah, for sure. And we'll see what happens with this big patch, because with the big patch they it's free first of all, which is amazing. Um, the voice acting was like there's more than 1 million words in the script total that all needed to be voice acted, which
Millie.
is
Holy
longer
shit.
than all of the Lord of the Rings novels
Yeah.
put together, including like The Hobbit and everything. So the scale of what they've done and the quality is all really, really good. But it's also been released on PS4 and PS5, with Xbox and Switch versions coming out soon.
Hmm.
And it's going to be really really interesting to see like what happens with the studio. Like, does it find an audience for console, or is it just going to be kind of a really PC centric game and it really doesn't have much of a niche with consoles? It's interesting question, because you're not going to find anything else like it on PS5 or anything.
Hmm. How's the game control?
um it's really just kind of point and click for the most part. um on PC, it's really straightforward. The console controls, I don't know exactly what they're like.
Hmm.
Um, I think moving would be a little bit easier, with the
With a stick.
controller, but
Yeah.
with the interactions might be a little bit weirder though. I'm not 100% sure how exactly they're they're handling that. But it's also the kind of game too where like you don't need like twitch movement in order to
Mm-hmm.
play it well. So I don't know how important. I mean, controls are always going to be important to a game, but I don't know for a game like this if it's really going to be that big of a deal if it's a little bit clunky.
Yeah. Well, I look at that game and think like, man, this would be the kind of game I might want to play on my Switch. Because it's like, I could totally see playing it there.
Yeah.
For me though, I mean, realistically, I'm probably just gonna play it on PC because that means I can stream it. But I could see it finding an audience on console. I mean, it's just unique.
Yeah, it's really unique. Yeah, I mean, even on PC, it's pretty unique. A lot of the stuff that they've done. But yeah, I'm really, really just. I mean, I was impressed with the game the first time that I played it, and just seeing all the work that they did into the free expansion. It's just hard not to be even more impressed. Hope that that studio has success past this because man, it's very, very clear. Like there are some times when you play a game and you can just tell like the developers really care about this. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is a labor of love. This is something that they poured every, little bit of heart and soul that they had into it, and this is probably the most obvious example of that I can think of.
Failure is not
Got a nice little kill streak going.
Oh yeah, yeah, that was a good little run. This is one of the most satisfying games to go on a streak in because death can come for you from so many different directions. It's ridiculous.
Hmm.
All right. Speaking of, that guy should have killed me. Didn't hit his shots though. So yeah, I don't know. Like, I also need to get back and play Outer Wilds. That's another brilliant, unique game.
Did you ever finish that one?
Nah, I played it for
Didn't?
like
Okay.
5-ish hours, and I
I
really
remember
enjoyed
watching you
it.
stream it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did stream it a little bit, but for me, like, I always get pulled back into spending my time at the PC playing multiplayer games because that's like what I crave from it. I think I realized the other day that so much of what I get out of gaming and streaming is just the social contact I need that I
Mhm.
just kind of don't get otherwise.
allow yourself to lose.
But yeah, that's been about it for me. This is really a shit year for releases. I mean, this is when you're really kind of feeling the COVID impact, I think, when
Yeah,
it comes to game releases, because
the year
there
after.
just is not much out there or much on the horizon. There's really like two or three things that I'm kind of looking forward to in the foreseeable future. There is the System Shock remake, the original System Shock remake, which is coming out, I think, some point in the next couple months.
Oh, interesting.
Um, there is another remake of Nier, which is an old kind of like hack and slash PlayStation game.
Wait, is
Um,
near Automata? Is that the same thing?
same same franchise, but earlier.
Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't know there were
earlier.
multiple games in that franchise. I thought it was just the one.
Yeah. The one that most recently came out, I believe, is the third game in the series, if I'm not mistaken. I never really had a chance to play the other ones, but one of them is being remade, so I'm a little excited for that because I really like Nier. I think a very, very interesting game. That game has a really cool kind of story and feel to it as well. And then I'm actually a little excited for the new Resident Evil game coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looks pretty interesting. I mean, I really enjoyed the Resident Evil 2 remake that came out a short time ago. I thought the Resident Evil 3 remake was kind of rushed and not so great, but the Resident Evil 2 remake was great. This one looks interesting to me, though. We'll see.
Word.
But that's it. Like, I've looked several times at the list of things to be released within the next like 6 months, or even just 2021 in general, and it's pretty lean.
Yeah, I don't play a lot of new games in general. I think if there's anything that's coming up that I'm actually excited about. I was excited about New World at one point. I think my excitement for it is kind of diminishing over time, though.
Oh, that's the Amazon game. Okay.
Yeah, the Amazon MMO.
For some reason, yeah, I was drawing a blank for a second. I knew I should know what that is.
I guess the MMO shine kind of got worn off when I played Shadowlands over the winter.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like I don't want another MMO. Like I've had that itch scratched, and it's hard for me to see what New World could do that World of Warcraft isn't doing better already.
Yeah.
Other than have different lore, different IP, different combat, but I mean, it's all wrapped up in the same shit. So like, is it really different at the end of the day?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like a different flavor of cereal. It's still cereal.
So the MMO well, is that something you go to like once every year, once every couple years or so?
Maybe. I don't know. Sometimes I think I know myself, and sometimes I realize I really don't. Because, so, let me think about this. My motivation for playing Classic WoW is that I thought that it was very interesting to see the industry kind of, hey, ground game, how's it going? You play on Emerald right now, going to come stomp me? The reason I went back to WoW Classic is because I thought it was super interesting that a game like that could come back, and that a publisher like that could change its mind in such a fundamental way.
Yeah.
And it kind of suggested to me that there might be room for change in the industry that I previously didn't think there was room for change. And after replaying that experience, and watching how things have progressed, I kind of feel more jaded about it. I kind of feel like the industry didn't learn anything from it at all. And that maybe I'm the one who learned something. And so then I went and played Shadowlands when it came out, because it actually looked like it was going to be good. And because I just didn't have a baseline for what World of Warcraft was anymore. I hadn't played it the retail game in more than 10 years. And, Max was playing it, so I'm like, okay, yeah, let's jam. And I had a lot of fun, and it was enjoyable, and much like with WoW Classic, I found my exit point. And now, I just kind of feel like I know what to expect from an MMO after playing those two experiences. And after watching New World's design get over time go from being something that was kind of unique looking to something that's very generic and safe looking. It's like I'm kind of feeling like the MMO is like almost like a dead genre.
Something desperately in need of innovation and someone to really kind of come in and shake things up.
Yeah, the problem with it's such an expensive genre to make
Yeah,
games in. And
yeah,
it's
they're huge. They're so big.
I think the way that we're more likely to see MMO like ideation at this point is with smaller games that have MMO like qualities,
Yeah.
like Dark Souls with the invasions would be an example, or
Hmm.
like battle royales. I think actually are a space where a lot of innovation is occurring, even though it's not really to my taste.
Yeah.
Actually, the same video that I watched had the kind of design study about three-way conflicts in game design. Had a really interesting defensive battle royale and talking about how it's a format that really is really conducive to using games to tell stories in a way that a lot of other games don't do nearly as well. Thought of you a little bit when I read that or watched that, Mr. PUBG, and Apex Legend.
Yeah. I just watched they had the PUBG like big international tournament the past, well, they've really been doing it the last couple months because they did it on site LAN in Korea, so everyone had to go over there and quarantine for their like 2 weeks before they actually played all together.
Exciting.
Yeah, it's first. I mean, maybe it's not. I'm not huge into esports, so I'm sure like there's been a couple other tournaments that have maybe done that, but um, certainly one of the larger tournaments that's done that since the start of the pandemic. There was a total of like 32 teams involved, so pretty big competition.
That's cool. Love when there's room for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it
What
was
a
just an
weird.
interesting tournament in general.
How
The
so?
game is very much dominated by um, kind of the Asia Pacific region. Like it's really big in China. It's really big in Korea. It's not as big in Japan, but it does have a market in Japan and a lot of
Hmm.
the other kind of countries around there. That's where its primary player base is. I don't think a European team has ever won a championship in it. I definitely know a North American team has never won a championship in it, but
Hmm.
by the time everything shook out, you actually did end up with two North American teams, and number one and number two, which is considered to be like a massive upset.
Huh.
Um, so that was also interesting to see because typically when it comes to these big international tournaments, North American teams underperform like crazy.
Weird.
Yeah,
Wonder why that is.
not sure. We just not good. Need to get good.
Apparently, for this one, we did.
Yeah.
So, other than the fact that North Americans pulled off an upset, what else about this was interesting to you?
The play style of the game, I think, has kind of adapted over the years in the competitive scene where it's a little bit more interesting to watch, and I feel like you really see kind of varied strategies and approaches to gameplay from different teams, whereas before it all just kind of seemed like a giant fucking clustered mess
Hmm.
of just grenades and shit. You can clearly see some very particular play styles, and watching different teams match up against one another in kind of open field combat can be really interesting and lead to some really cool interactions. There was some really insane um, plays to see, especially in the last week in particular. There was some really nice plays, individual plays, team plays, all sorts of different plays. So yeah, it's become PUBG competitive used to be really boring to watch, and I feel like it's definitely adapted and it's much better now than it has been in the past.
That's good to see.
Yeah.
Good to see PUBG doing well.
From a competitive standpoint, with all the other battle royales, to me, it's the most interesting to watch. Fortnite competitive, I will admit to have not watched a lot of it. It's not fun to watch for me. It's just it still seems like a lot of chaos. I know there's a lot of thought into what people are doing.
Like the building
Um,
spam.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, there's very clearly a lot of expertise and thought that's being put into every little move, and I get that and I appreciate it. But as someone that isn't really in tune with the game, it just looks like a bunch of nonsense, Zoomer shit, basically. Um, yeah, and the attrition in that game isn't particularly exciting to me either.
Attrition?
Yeah, you just like the final circles have like basically half the lobby still alive,
Oh,
and you're
that's chaotic.
basically yeah trying to move from one position to the other, and it's not so much like one-on-one fights that are leading to victories. It's like someone getting caught out on a rotation in a bad
Ah,
position due to chance, due to a misplay, due to a lot of different things. And Apex tends to be very campy um, in the competitive scene.
oh, that's too bad.
Yeah,
It's boring to watch when the incentives are not good for aggressive play, I think, in any
yeah,
competitive game, really.
yeah. PUBG, I think it's a nice balance. Like you can really kind of bunker down in places, but you also need to make hard rotations periodically, dependent upon like where things shift. And that's where the game shines. Some of those rotations that you see from teams and their pushes and their clearing of compounds and so on and so forth are just so impressive to watch. Like the coordination and the timing and everything is really really good.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. And
Yeah.
how big are the matches for PUBG competitive? Like how many players are on a team?
Four teams, or I'm sorry, four players on a team, and then they're typically 16 teams, I think.
Okay.
So
Oh my.
lobbies are 64, I believe. Yeah.
And is that the same way in the tournament version? Is that just for
Yep.
the pubs? Oh, interesting. That's a lot of people.
Yeah. Pub play is 100. It'll be 100 players, and then you'll divide it up either into solos, duos, or quads. But competitive is 64.
So for that tournament, they had to get 64 people to show up. um,
Yep.
how does the tournament work? Like, is it like the top 4 teams move on or like is it just the top 1 or
So the way that they did it this time is so they would have games periodically throughout the week, right? Um, and in order to qualify for weekend games, which are the ones that have, like money prizes, the big money prizes attached to it, you would have to actually win a game.
okay.
Um, and so if you won a game, you rotated out. You were out of the pool of 16 teams that were playing, and you were basically idle until the weekend started. Um,
Uh-huh.
so, like I said, there was a total of 32 teams that were, qualified. So basically, what that equates to is, when one team rotates out because they win a game, one of the other teams that were lower ranked, they're going to have less shots. They're going to have fewer number of games to play in order to get that win and qualify for the weekend. So that's kind of how that's balanced based on rankings.
Got it.
When you get your 16 teams, when they play on the weekend, it's usually 2 days, and then it's point based. Like you get a point for killing a player, and then there are placement points attached to it as well. And then whoever gets the most points, they're declared the winner. So it's kind of done in two different ways between the weekday games and then the weekend games.
Heard.
But this was also a different format than what they typically do. They normally just do a point-based system all along, and whoever gets the most points, they're in. Um, and I think there were good criticisms for and against what the new format was. One
Mhm.
of the biggest criticisms was like if you were a team that really fragged out, right, you cleared half the lobby, you got 16, 17, 18 kills with your squad, but you finish in second place because you ran out of ammo or your armor was just beat to shit and you just had bad luck, you don't get rewarded for anything.
Yep.
And I think there's some valid criticism to that, but it certainly puts, I don't know, it puts more emphasis on winning, which kind of changes the style that people play. And in some cases, I think it was for the better, and in some cases, I think it was for the worse. It's an interesting format that they tried, though.
So people have to play for the win rather than playing. What conditions do people play for if not for the win? Like the scenario where you described where they fragged out but didn't win at
Yeah.
the end of the day.
Well,
Like,
if there was, there would be situations maybe like in the final circle or two, if you have 3 or 4 teams that are up. If you know that you're going to get some placement points and you know that a team is weak and you can make that push and get the extra couple frags to make up for whatever loss of placement points you would get.
mhm,
Um,
with the all
you
point
could take
system.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could make in some ways it's kind of like a reckless play, right? Because you're gonna almost be like inting into the other team, suiciding basically. But you get those 2 or 3 frags, and you make up for whatever placement points. Um, that's a win. Um, and if by some miracle, you make that push and you get those frags, you don't lose anybody. Now you can snowball into the next fight. You have more ammo, you have new armor, you have better weapons, so on and so forth. So that's a risk that's a calculated risk that you could take, that there really wasn't a reason to do that anymore.
Mhm. Mm. Yeah, I'm mentally comparing back to Outfit Wars just because I've been talking about it so much lately. It's just like lodged in my brain.
Yeah.
And that's a format right now that is interesting because to win the game, you have to hold territory. Territory accrues points.
Hmm.
Points win you the game. And one of the things that no one's really talking about is how the way the incentives work. Like how
Yeah.
is the total drawn up? At one point in the early iteration of it, there was a kill consideration for point gain, but
Yep.
ended up being it was weighted too heavily compared to actually
Yeah.
capturing territory, which is supposed to be the thing you want to do in Planet Side. That's kind of what the game's built around.
Yeah.
I don't know. My brain's all wore out, dude.
No, I hear you.
I had a big
No, and I
damn
think
week.
that's an
Yeah.
interesting question though, because I mean, just thinking about some of my experience with with the beer league doing the prediction challenge, right?
Yeah.
Um, how do you weight something in such a way that one thing in particular, even if it is like a win condition, like captures or so on and so forth,
Uh-huh.
how do you weight it in such a way so that one thing in particular isn't heads and shoulders above everything else, and that there is a different win condition other than just, you know,
Just fragging out or whatever.
yeah, exactly. And that's really hard to balance. And like realistically, I don't know how you really balance it without running like tons and tons and tons of simulations on different scenarios and so on and so forth. That's something I feel like you need to grind with math to try and figure out what is going to be the most equitable. And then that doesn't even mean that it's going to play out in such a way that people are going to enjoy it. Like just because it ends up by making the most sense from like a mathematical standpoint doesn't mean that that's what people are going to enjoy the most.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting like design thing, and I know this isn't directly related, but TF2. I know you didn't play a ton of TF2, but
Yeah.
one of the design decisions that was very, very polarizing and people were really like pissed off about when the game was released was crits, right? You have
Yeah.
a random chance for a critical attack that's going to just do super damage and one shot you. And this is bullshit. We hate it. It's so stupid. Why is it in the game? So on and so forth. Valve, when they were doing their play testing for TF2, as much as people kind of complained about it, they added crits into the game without, the sound indicators or the visual indicators, and, doing all their play tests, they ultimately found that the games that they had secretly put crits in inevitably always got rated as being way more fun and way more exciting than the ones that didn't have crits.
Huh.
So
Interesting.
yeah, so that's something that they clearly did a lot of research on, and they did in kind of a controlled environment, and they determined that even, the thing that people complain about, when they know it's in the game, when they took it out of the game, inevitably people thought the game was way more boring. So yeah,
More boring, but more fair.
I guess. What's the balance right there, right? Between
Mhm.
boring and fair.
Keep it unfair, but just don't let people know that they're being cheated, I guess.
Exactly, yeah.
Be dishonest about it.
But I mean, you can kind of see it. Like if you
Yeah.
start to think about it, you can understand. Like you have a situation where one rocket can really change the outcome of a fight. That's exciting. That's a really really big moment that is going to like raise eyebrows and make people say on like both sides like holy shit or oh my god we just got wrecked. And ultimately like isn't that kind of what you're looking for? You're kind of chasing those highs, right? You don't just play a game in order to be like somewhat satisfied for a
Yeah.
very, long length of time.
Yeah,
You
you
want
want
you want those
some
peaks and
variance.
valleys. Hmm.
Yeah. So having it be perfectly determined based off of mechanical skill with no variance at all is quite boring.
Yep.
But having it be determined too much by factors outside the player's control feels unfair. So it's like
Hmm.
you gotta find a certain balance to it, I guess.
Yep. And it's probably different for every game based on different mechanics, based on different play styles, based on lots of different things. So
Mm.
it's really, really hard. And a lot of I think a lot of it comes down to luck. The games that get it right.
Yeah.
I think it's really, really difficult to get that right, especially because you can play test with a small group of people, but once you open it up to hundreds of thousands of people, if not millions of people, like they're going to come across things and they're going to play the game and they're going to do things in a very different way than what you could have ever imagined. So some of it, yeah, I think it's just dumb luck.
Speaking of dumb luck, I cannot find a single fight on the entire continent in the entire server of Emerald right now, in Planetside, because two of the factions have decided they're only going to play each other and they're not going to fight against us.
That's boring.
Yeah, it's one of those interesting side effects of the three faction nature of the game. Is
Hmm.
if it was only two factions, you'd always have someone to fight. It might not always be even or fair, but literally people are not showing up to defend this base. They'd rather continue fighting whatever they're doing. It's
Yep.
weird because I don't know. It's like this mixed identity of the game looks and feels like a shooter and tells you it's a shooter, but it's actually a game about territory control.
Hmm.
And
The facility is ours.
but because it tells everyone it's a shooter, everyone ignores the territory component of it, except when it's a useful MacGuffin for creating infantry fights.
Hmm.
I'm guilty of it too. Can't even be that mad about it. Just musing. Yeah, enjoyable variants. I think of like Super Smash Brothers, right? Where there's like the
Yep.
party mode version of the game with all the items and 4 players, and there's the super serious version of the game where you have these people who like pull off crazy ass maneuvers, but they have items turned off and they turn all the variants off.
Yep. And I mean, I don't know a ton about competitive Smash, but I know that is a debate at a lot of different levels about what to do with items and power ups and so on and so forth. And there's a lot of people that you know have very strong opinions one way or the other about it. Or at least
Right.
that used to be the case. I'm not sure if that's changed at all. I have a friend who was very big into Smash for a while, and I kind of heard about a lot of things, through proxy from him.
two interesting things from research I've done recently. The first one, which is a really cool bit of research, is apparently, and I haven't looked at the primary research myself, just at what this guy said about it, but apparently, in order for people to feel like a game is fun and fair, they have to win 70% of the time.
70.
Yep. And people who win less than that generally are not likely to think a game is fair. Or if they win more than that, they think it's unfair. Like that seems to be the threshold.
Okay. So, this is just a thought that kind of occurred to me here. But as far as, like podcasts and conversations and that kind of thing, I kind of completely forgot that this guy existed, which I
Who?
feel bad about because I'm friends with him and I know him and I've played games with them for a while.
Yeah.
It's been a couple of years now, but Royola from TFC. I
Uh-huh.
don't know if you are familiar with him. He's a Finnish player, but he actually studies games like academically. He's written academic
Interesting.
papers on games and gameplay and what is, good controls versus bad controls and what makes the game fun versus not fun. And he's written, and published academic papers on the subject. So I don't know, it might be a little bit of a dry discussion, but if you wanted to maybe reach out to him, I could probably put you in touch with him.
Send
I
me
think
a
that's an
link.
interesting conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, send me a link to his stuff. I would definitely be curious.
Yeah.
For me, like the tipping point is, can I imagine having a fun conversation, a fun talk with this person?
Yeah.
If I can imagine it, then yeah, go for it. But
He is a fun guy.
yeah,
I really enjoyed playing with him. I played DayZ with him and Janordi for a while, and Royola also has some really good old TFC AVIs.
oh,
He made one based on, when he came back and started playing competitively after like a 5 or 6 year hiatus, just about how absolutely shit he was at the game. And it's really funny, trying to rocket jump with his shotgun and all sorts of other like blunders like that.
and TFC is such a painful game to come back to in that way.
Yeah, it really
Like,
is.
it's interesting that to me, I actually feel more welcome back in PlanetSide, which is a game that it's been much more active in the last,
Hmm.
5, 6, 8 years. But in TFC, I feel like I can never hope to mantle the skill gap between myself and like Neon or Doug or Lad or God help me, Wheaties. Like it's something very different about that game. There's something more athletic about it in a way.
Yeah, there's just so much about it, right? There's the movement, which is incredibly important. There's the aim. There is just the game knowledge and just the awareness
Yep.
of situations and so on and so forth. There's so much that happens in that game at such a fast pace. And that's true of a lot of arena shooters and just shooters in general these days.
Hmm.
Like there's a lot you have to process really, really quickly when you're playing like Overwatch or Apex or any of those other games. But there's something about TFC that just seems way more
Way more taxing.
unforgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame that like I don't know. I guess in a lot of ways, what's happened with the TFC community is a real victory. But I can't help but see it as a shame personally, because when it comes to my appetite for community, it's just a lot bigger than what others seem to be satisfied with.
Yeah, I think I mean, it's pretty clear that there's been some significant missed opportunity and some misfires and shortcomings. Many of which, you know, we've talked a lot about seem pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Not things that really snuck up on anybody. Should have been pretty apparent.
The Terran Republic has taken the facility.
You know what though,
And yeah,
Repair?
sorry, go ahead.
I
Yeah.
felt that way with every single online game I played.
Yeah.
I don't think I played any online game where I haven't felt let down by the community in one way or another. Sorry, I should rephrase that. I haven't felt let down by the community in a way that felt big enough to turn me off from it.
Yeah.
Because every place is imperfect. It's got its issues, but
Yeah.
it's just something uniquely disappointing about the way people come together about games to me. And it's just so. I think the world is starting to get caught up with like more like the way I see it. I think streaming is one of those ways where you can start to see that happen. The phenomena that interest me, the kind of community that interests me. That's why I started doing this myself. Just like
Hmm.
fuck it. Like I'm tired of looking for it. I'm just gonna make it myself.
I find your effort lacking.
Not really too sure how well that's going, to be honest.
Well, I think you're on the way. I mean, I've seen the numbers go up,
Yeah.
slow but steady. Here we are 1 year. Um, and I don't know if this is 100% true, but if this is 1 year that I've been subscribed, this is probably pretty close to exactly 1 year since you got um your sub badge.
Yep. Yep.
Because
My affiliate.
yeah, because I think I subscribed to you the first day, um, or at least the first time that you streamed as affiliate.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think you're one of the first. Yeah, that sounds
but yeah,
right. And it was the day I did the beer league broadcast with that in the very first match, and we did the doubleheader.
yep,
And there were like 92 people watching at its peak. And
yep.
other than one podcast I did where I had Guild Wars streamer host me with 300 people, I've never gotten close to that again. It's an interesting thing. But yeah, a 1 year is an interesting milestone. I mean, to be honest, I haven't really been trying to be a streamer most of that time.
A new conglomerate
I think
in the facility.
my brain's not really cut out for the idea of showing up on stream every day.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It is a tremendous amount of effort.
It also seems really fucking boring to me.
Yeah, I think for me that's part of it too. Like if I had to do this every single day, I just wither.
Yeah, seems like it would become a real job very quickly
Hmm.
in all the worst ways.
Yeah, and so what I've been trying to do is be like, okay, well, how do I want to use this streaming platform? And I found some uses that I like, but so far it hasn't added up to something that really sticks with people, like over time.
Hmm.
And I think my recent um, foray into the PlanetSide community is the kind of the closest I've gotten since like the TFC casting, having something that is sticky with people. But I don't know. Like I'm eventually gonna have a week where I don't do any PlanetSide content. Seal drop. It is I. Hello. Nice to meet you. I would like to have one enjoyable fight. Come on. Maybe we need to get into this bio lab.
I am gonna get going here because it's getting pretty late for me.
Sure, man.
But it was good talking. You're definitely
Definitely.
right. We should play something soon,
Agreed.
Deep Rock or whatever.
Yeah. Or doesn't have to be Deep Rock. Something can be something else
Could be,
too.
yeah, it could be whatever, for sure.
Maybe I'll even get Apex one of these days.
Oh man. Speaking of Apex, one thing I'll say really really quickly is that I feel like I've kind of crossed the threshold with that game where for the first like month and a half I was playing it, it was really hard for me to get annoyed or upset with it just because I didn't know what was going on. I feel
Yeah.
like I've finally crossed that threshold where I know enough about the game to finally
To
get
get
annoyed with
pissed
it.
off. Welcome.
Yeah, that's like one of the great thresholds of a new game is when you can start getting frustrated with it because you
Yeah.
kind of understand what is going
How it
going on a
works
little bit more. Yeah.
and how it should go. Man.
Yes,
Well, I would congratulate you, but I think that's nothing to be happy about.
I agree. It's nothing to be happy about at all.
All right, man. Well, have a good night. Definitely let's do something and always good talking.
Yeah, for sure. Later.
See ya. Seal Drop used to make PS2 content in 2014. Word. Back in the good old days, huh? That was before I plugged into PlanetSide too. What kind of stuff did blah, kind of stuff did you do, Seal Drop? That is a max. Let's get the music going again.
The facility is ours.
I am in your debt.
Oh, this base. The Ziggurat. I think a base with this name should have more like exotic structures. Oh
Rise to the
man,
moment you can
I did not
prepare.
deserve that kill. And they killed our spawn. Good times. Yes, excellent times. Seal drop. Seal drop. Sounds a little bit like a euphemism for seal clubbing, which is, of course, the fine art of demoralizing newbies at Planetside. I could drive up a new Sunderer, but they'll just blow it up. We need to get into that biolab. That's what we need. So the dotted line means we can or we can't capture it. Dotted line just means that there's an interfaction lattice, I think. Oh, someone put a router up over here. Okay. This could be fun. Ah, that's your tree router, man. Thank you. Who shot me? The hell is hitting me? Is that you, ground game? Oh, I see you now. Well, that's the most fun spawn I've had in a little while.
Rise to the moment. You cannot prevail than this rabble.
Oh, sorry, friend.
rise to the moment you can prevail.
Spawn tubes insect.
Spotted an enemy heavy.
I can heal you.
I've got ammo for you here. Spotted an enemy heavy. Eyes open, enemy heavy.
Ah, good old roof heavy. 120. Dedication there. Oh. Provoked recursion. The hell is that?
Mano is with you. Do not falter.
Got you, ground game.
Enemy soldier down. Vanu smiles upon me.
I am grateful to you.
Vanu smiles.
Hold still. Let me in.
Eyes on hostile transport vehicle spotted.
Oh, I don't know what the hell to think that guy. This saved me. Ba, 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 ba.
Ammunition here.
25 minutes on this alert. Can I stick it out? Ooh, that was a good feeling kill. What? Oh. Someone punished me.
Our foes will know the will of Manu.
Oh, it's a fucking max. Never mind. Oh, they took it back? What?
Enemy light assault in the area.
We close in on victory.
Might be too tired to stick this one out. Even though we're finally getting some enjoyable fights. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, I'm gonna get you. Zero health.
We've captured the
Ba
facility.
ba 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 da ba da ba.
I need a medic! I require medical attention! I can feel you.
Soldier 74, the grandfather of Soldier 76.
Our foes will know the will of Arkham.
All these killing assists I'm getting. Oh, there's a kill. Come on. That's a spawn.
Stay alert. Enemy heavy nearby.
The facility is ours.
Shuffle. I'm doing okay, brother. How are you? I am tired. It's been a long fucking week. Trying to find some enjoyable Planet Mans for my purple spandex ass. How goes it with you? Ba, 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 ba. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. You've been trying to find a Dota 1 game in under 20 minutes. You mean you've been trying to finish one in under 20 minutes? Or find one that you can finish in under 20 minutes? I'm confused. Where's Mr. Red Dot? Where'd you go? Dota 2. Oh, there is someone here. Where are you?
Enemy soldier down.
Oh, man. Dude! Blew up our spawn.
Spotted an enemy heavy.
How long do Dota 2 games usually take?
We close in on victory.
Oh man, 15-minute queue. Because you're too good. Oh, excuse me.
Eyes on a hostile light assault trooper. Eyes on a hostile light assault trooper.
What is happening in this game? Nothing. It's a boring night on PlanetSide 2. Having a contest to win the continent, but it's a contest no one seems to care about very much. It's been boring fighting on my purple faction here. The red and blue team have been having most of the fun, which is something that they're tending to do. And I'm trying to last 16 more minutes till the alert ends. Although I'm tired and my back hurts for some strange reason. I don't know why that is. Way too much junk food.
The facility is ours.
Where? Okay. Can you not fight on a better server map? I could, but my progression is bound to this server for this character and this faction. And I've been trying to get to rank 100 on this character. He's ranked 97 now. And when I get to rank 100, I'll be able to unlock a really cool perk that I've never played with before. So I kind of have an incentive to play on this server and faction at the moment. But yeah, there's another US server I could play on. And I do have characters on the other factions I could switch to. Just they're all lower rank, and working on them won't get me any closer to getting this perk that I am interested in. Dial M for monkey.
Facility is secure. Excellent work.
We are fighting over the Nettlemeyer Gardens. This present juncture. Oh, here's an easy kill. Nope. I'm getting flanked. Oh, that felt good. I baited a good player. Yeah, I think right now they're probably like 200 people playing, maybe like 150. And the continent is just scaled for 3 to 4 times that much. Actually, for the first time in like an hour, there are some interesting looking fights coming up. This is actually a fun base to fight at. but I'm tired enough that I'm making dumb decisions like that.
Spotted a hostile engineer.
I got ammo for you here.
Been keeping tabs on the Chauvin. I feel like I should know what that means. Oops, that went bad bounce. Sorry, friends. All right, let's do the light assault thing. Let's get airborne. Tarek owned. The Chauvin case. America's in a tough spot right now. Oh, that name is ringing a bell. Ooh, this song slaps. Soggy cow is mine. Oh, that's the guy. Yes. Okay. Yep, okay. I'll be honest, when it comes to drama like that, like, I get to a saturation point where I start to tune things out. It's probably not to my credit. Also just been super busy lately. This guy doesn't know where I am. Now he does. What are you seeing from the case? What strikes you about it? Thought I saw a light assault. Oh! I wanted to kill on Tarek so bad. Baited.
You are better than this. Show them.
Engineer spotted.
Oh, that was going to be a cool move in my head. Did not work. It seems like Chauvin will be acquitted, but the media have published all the personal info of every juror involved. Oh, that's a bad beat. Yikes. You weren't supposed to do that shit. Hey, it's Shakhtar. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da.
I find your efforts lack
Oh no. Way too many people. Oh, these new conglomerate bullies. Just bullying us.
a new conglomerate has taken the facility.
Biolab, huh? Yeah, we can take the fight to the biolab.
Will you truly allow yourself to lose? A new conglomerate has taken the facility.
4 minutes left. Let's go to the biolab. Oh boy.
Mano is with you. Do not falter.
There it is. A medic.
Are you not better than this rabble?
I've not seen this person like once. It's killing me. There's no unifying resolution. Okay. We're spawn camping.
A new conglomerate.
Does MAKI have the word spawn camping somewhere in it? Go away.
Spotted a hostile medic.
Generator repaired.
That was dumb.
Visual on a hostile engineer.
Last spawn. Here we go.
Austin has fallen into the hands of the Terran Republic.
Oh man. That's all right. Bada, bada. That will do it for tonight. Up way too late. But it's Friday, so fuck it. Anyone else streaming PlanetSide right now? TJ Heavy. Yeah, we'll rate TJ Heavy. Good night, y'all. Take it easy.